I keep seeing videos about how our timelines are all messed up, like how I didn't know that woolly mammoths were around at the same time that the pyramids were being built, but there's actually so many other weird overlaps that are blowing my mind. And before we dive in, if you love the spooky and dark, you'll love the podcast. Like how Dali died the same year that Daniel Radcliffe was born. And even weirder, Eminem and Picasso were alive at the same time for 2 years. Rosa Parks lived long enough to be able to see the first 2 Shrek movies in theaters. And let's not forget that in her lifetime, she actually sued the band Outkast. When the Declaration of Independence was being signed, no one knew that dinosaurs even existed. Like, dinosaurs had actually not been discovered yet. And let's not forget that Cleopatra was born closer to the invention of the iPhone than to the actual pyramids being built. This one sounds fake, but is totally real. The last person to collect a pension from the Civil War died the year that Obama took office. And finally, the oldest tree alive today was around at the time of woolly mammoths. And not only that, but when the last woolly mammoth died, this tree was already 1,000 years old. Just when I thought I heard about all the worst cults in history, this one had to come and blow them out of the water. This is Colonia Dignidad. They were a German torture cult hiding out in the Chilean wilderness after World War II, aka Yazis. And to show you how terrible they were, let me tell you a story. As a quick reminder, if you want more info, you can check out the podcast. The leader of this cult was a known child abuser, and he wanted more Chilean boys to be brought to him. So he started a hospital in the community and used it as a trafficking system to get more children. One day, a young Chilean boy choked and was rushed to the hospital. And right when he got there, a nurse scooped him up, brought him to a room, and saved his life. But later that day, his sister arrived and asked a nurse when she could pick him up to take him home. And the nurse responded that they needed to monitor him for a few more days, which is pretty suspect in a choking case. So a few days later, she comes back and she's like, okay, can I get my brother? And the nurse tells her that he's not there anymore. And this is because the hospital had lawyers on staff that were drafting up adoption paperwork when young boys would come in. The cult was able to legally adopt boys in the community without the parents' consent, and the parents had not enough money to do anything about it. There are so many more stories about this place, and I had never heard of it before, so make sure you check out this week's episode for more info. This is maybe the scariest urban legend I've ever heard, and it ended up being true. Back in the 1970s, there was this terrifying fun house in Long Beach, California called The Laugh in the Dark. And there was always this urban legend that all the mannequins inside were fake, except for one. Also, mind you, this is what this week's episode is about, so if you don't want spoilers, just listen to the episode. This urban legend came to be because there was one mannequin inside that just looked wrong. All of the other ones looked fake, but this one in particular looked way too human. And a bunch of the kids also said the area that the mannequin was in just smelled really, really bad. So a few years go by, and one day a film crew comes in and is using Laugh in the Dark for a film set. The director's lining up a shot, and he just doesn't like the way this one mannequin looks in frame. So he goes over to a crew member and he's like, hey, can you just move this out of the shot? So the crew member goes over and starts moving the mannequin when its arm pops off. And inside of the mannequin's arm is human bone. The kids had been totally right. The mannequin was a mummified body. There's so much more to this story, like who the person was and how they got there, and I talk about the whole thing this week on the episode.
In Japan, there's a chilling true story about a doll named Okiku that continues to terrify people to this day. In 1918, a young boy named Aikichi Suzuki bought a beautiful doll for his 2-year-old sister, Okiku, while visiting Sapporo. The doll had traditional Japanese features, with black hair and a kimono. Okiku loved the doll dearly and played with it every day. Tragically, the little girl fell ill and died the following year. To honor her memory, her grieving family placed the doll in a shrine. Soon after, strange things began to happen. The doll's hair, originally cut short, started to grow. The family, believing that the spirit of Okiku had inhabited the doll, regularly trimmed its hair, but it continued to grow back. In 1938, when the Suzuki family moved, they felt they could not take the doll with them, so they entrusted it to the Maninji Temple in Hokkaido. The monks at the temple also witnessed the doll's hair growing and have kept it ever since, trimming its hair when it gets too long. The doll, now known as the Okiku doll, remains in the temple, drawing curious visitors who come to see this eerie phenomenon. True and terrifying story about a woman named Hachishaku-sama, or 8 feet tall. In a rural village in Japan, there was a family with a young boy who lived happily. One summer, the boy visited his grandparents' house. One day, while playing in the yard, he saw a tall, strange woman standing by the fence. She was impossibly tall, nearly 8 feet, and wore a long white dress. Her face was hidden under a wide-brimmed hat. The boy's grandparents looked terrified when he described the woman. They told him that she was Hachishaku-sama, a ghostly figure who preys on children. Once she sets her eyes on a child, she follows them relentlessly, making a deep, eerie sound like po, po, po. The grandparents took the boy inside and performed various protective rituals. They locked all the doors and windows, placed bowls of salt in each corner of the room, and told the boy not to leave his room until morning. That night, he heard the haunting po, po, po sound coming closer and closer, but he stayed hidden. In the morning, the grandparents hurriedly took him to a distant relative's house, hoping to break Hachishaku-sama's curse by getting him far away from the village. For many years, the boy was not allowed to visit his grandparents' village, and his family never spoke of the incident again. The legend of Hachishaku-sama remains a chilling reminder of a ghostly figure that can appear anywhere, always seeking out children to take away forever.
This is the true story of the nun. The Vatican has kept the severed head of a possessed nun for over 300 years. In 1742, a nun named Josephine Rosenthal appeared mysteriously pregnant. Despite her insistence that she hadn't been with a man, the convent grew suspicious. Tests confirmed that Josephine was still a virgin, and her pregnancy was deemed a divine case. However, tragedy struck when she died giving birth to a baby girl, Maria Rosenthal. Maria was born a hermaphrodite, and her condition led to whispers of demonic origins. Nuns and priests began to torment her, viewing her existence as a curse. The church soon devised a horrific plan to sacrifice Maria at the age of 33, the same age as Jesus, hoping to mask the deed as divine intervention. When Maria learned of the plot, she chose to take her own life. After her death, the priests ordered her head to be severed and embalmed in a box with a cross. But Maria's death didn't bring peace. Soon after, she began appearing in paranormal visions, haunting the very convent that condemned her.
If you see her walking alone at night, don't stop, don't speak, just run. She is Rokurokubi. The story starts in a small village in South Korea. Among the villagers lived a woman named Mayumi. She was polite, kind, and lived alone in a small wooden house on the edge of the village. No one suspected her secret, but Mayumi was no ordinary woman. She was a Rokurokubi, cursed to have her neck stretch impossibly long at night. Every night, while the village slept, her neck would grow and her head would roam freely. She wandered through the dark streets. One night, a traveler named Haruto passed through the village and stayed in an inn near Mayumi's house. Haruto couldn't sleep and decided to take a walk under the moonlight. As he walked, he saw Mayumi. Her head floated in the air, her long neck writhing and curling like a serpent. Haruto didn't scream. He ran back to the inn and bolted the door, shaking as he waited for the sun to rise. The next morning, Haruto told the villagers what he saw. The villagers confronted Mayumi, demanding to know the truth. She tried to deny it, but the fear in their eyes told her they already knew. "Leave," one elder said firmly. "We won't harm you, but you cannot stay here." Mayumi packed her belongings and left the village that day, disappearing into the woods. This story is from South Korea. Comment your country, and I will make a scary story from your country.
Why is this side of history never talked about? During the 1800s, a man named Hugh Mongoose was born in Armadillo, Texas. He would grow up there, but by the age of 10, he was already bigger than every adult male in the town. Over the next few years, he got so big that people would travel from across the state to just get a look at him. The mayor of the town saw an opportunity to make money with this and asked Hugh to make a show out of it. He agreed, and over the next few years, the town's economy flourished with visitors coming from across the country and buying tickets to the show. But Hugh grew tired of the act and told the mayor he was retiring. The mayor was furious about this and told Hugh he is making a huge mistake. So one night the mayor gathered up all the officers, so they can arrest and prevent Hugh from leaving. After this, Hugh spent his days tied up in the front of the town and was like a zoo exhibit for everyone to see. He would spend months in that spot until one night an officer named Jake Farms secretly released him. Hugh thanked the officer but warned him he should probably leave town because it's about to get ugly up in here. Hugh then proceeded to start destroying the town building by building and save the mayor's house for last. When he approached, he could see the mayor looking out the window staring at him, and without hesitation, he stomped on his house with him in it.
This evil man was the real-life Mr. Krabs, and it's purely horrifying. In the 1960s in Ohio, the small town of Willow Creek was known for one thing: Jack's Burger Shop. Jack, the owner, was a cheerful man who always greeted customers with a big smile. His burgers were famous and people traveled miles just to eat them. But around the same time, people started disappearing. It was mostly travelers or strangers passing through town, so no one thought much of it. Jack even joked with his customers, "Careful, or you'll end up on the grill." Everyone laughed, thinking it was just a joke. One night, a young man named Phil Your Anus was walking past the diner and saw Jack loading something heavy into his van. It looked like a body wrapped in a bloody sheet. Tommy followed Jack to the woods and watched him bury it. The next day, Phil broke into the diner after hours. In the freezer, he found strange packages labeled special meat. When he opened one, he froze in horror. It wasn't beef, it was human meat. Jack caught him and smiled. "Now you know my secret," he said, holding a butcher knife. Phil escaped and told the town, but no one believed him. Jack cleaned up the diner, and the evidence disappeared. The townsfolk kept eating the burgers, saying, "Jack's burgers are just too good to quit." To this day, people wonder, were Jack's burgers really made from people, or was it just a wild story? Either way, Jack's smile always seemed just a little too wide.
This cursed family took the lives of over 1,000 people. This is the true story of Wrong Turn. In the 1950s, in the small town of Ravens Hollow, Ohio, there was a family called the Crow family. The Crows lived in an old house on the edge of Ravenwood Forest. People in town hated them because of their looks, saying they were strange and didn't belong. One night, the townspeople set fire to their house, thinking they were getting rid of a curse, but the Crow family survived. They disappeared into the forest, angry and broken. From that day on, they swore revenge. Years later, people began to vanish near Ravenwood Forest. Hikers, travelers, even townsfolk. Survivors say the Crows hunt and eat people as payback for what the town did to them. They hunt anyone who enters the forest, setting deadly traps, pits lined with spikes, hidden bear traps, and hanging wire nooses. They laugh when they hunt, and they drag their victims underground to eat them. The only thing they leave behind is a bloody crow feather. In the 1980s, a girl named Emily escaped after her friends disappeared while camping. She said the crows whispered as they chased her, "You burned us, now we burn you." Today, no one goes near Ravenwood Forest. Locals say you can still hear laughter and snapping twigs in the dark. If you see a crow feather at the forest's edge, don't go in. The Crow family is still waiting hungry for revenge.
This doll was the real-life Annabelle. In 1965, people started disappearing in the quiet town of Ridgefield in Ohio. It began when a little girl named Lily found a doll in the woods near her home. The doll was tiny, with black button eyes and a stitched smile. Lily brought it home and named it Mina. Soon after, Lily's parents noticed strange things. They'd hear footsteps at night and whispers coming from Lily's room. One morning, Lily's mother went to wake her, but Lily was gone. All that was left was the doll, sitting on her bed. The disappearances spread across the town. Neighbors, the mailman, and even the sheriff vanished. Each time, the doll showed up in a new house. Terrified, the townsfolk tried to burn the doll. They threw it into a fire pit, but as the flames grew, they heard a high-pitched scream. When the fire died out, the doll was gone, only to reappear later that night in the center of town. A brave woman named Margaret searched the town library and found an old record about a girl named Mina, who vanished in Ridgefield over 100 years ago. The record said Mina's soul was trapped in the doll, cursed to take others so she wouldn't be alone. Margaret realized too late that Mina didn't want to stay in the doll anymore. That night, Margaret disappeared, and the doll was gone too. Now, locals say a little girl with black button eyes roams Ridgefield at night, smiling as she chooses her next victim.
This man was the real-life Pennywise. In 1985, the small town of Gallipolis, Ohio, was shaken by a string of disappearances. 350 people went missing in 6 months. People said they saw a strange clown near where the missing people were last seen. This clown wasn't funny. He was tall, dirty, and had a creepy, wide smile. He wore old clothes and always carried a red balloon. People started calling him the Pennywise of Gallipolis. The first person to disappear was a fisherman. His boat was found floating on the river, but he was gone. Then a teenager disappeared while walking home at night. Some people people said they saw the clown standing by the woods or under streetlights, just watching them. One boy said he saw the clown by the river. He didn't say anything, the boy said. He just pointed at me and smiled. Then I heard laughing, but it wasn't coming from him. It felt like it was in my head. The sheriff tried to search for the missing people, but no one was found. Instead, red balloons started showing up in strange places, tied to trees floating in the river or sitting in the middle of empty streets. By fall, everyone in town was too scared to go outside after dark. Then the disappearances stopped and the clown was never seen again. But even now, sometimes a red balloon will appear by the riverbank. When that happens, the people of Gallipolis stay inside. No one knows if the clown will ever come back.
What locals did to this man's family was pure evil. This was the real-life Pennywise. In 1954, Victor Lane was a kind clown who performed at the Black Hollow Carnival in a small Ohio town. But Victor's life had always been full of pain. As a child, he lost his family in a mysterious fire that destroyed their home. The townsfolk called it an accident, but Victor overheard men joking about how the freaks got what they deserved. Despite his scars, Victor became a clown to bring happiness to others. But Black Hollow never welcomed him. They called him Creepy Smiley and spread rumors behind his back. One October night, a group of boys at the carnival decided to humiliate Victor. They set his tent on fire during his performance, destroying his props and leaving his face badly burned. The crowd laughed as Victor stumbled into the woods, his costume in tatters. After that night, the town changed. Children began disappearing. Parents would find red balloons tied to their doors or balloon animals on their porches. The mayor's son vanished after a balloon was tied to his mailbox. Some claimed they saw Victor's shadow in the woods, his smeared makeup and scarred face visible under his tattered mask. A search party found a shack deep in the forest with old carnival props, burned family photos, and a mirror etched with the words, "Who's laughing now?" But Victor was gone. Now, every October, red balloons appear around Black Hollow. Locals say it's a warning. Victor hasn't forgotten, and the clown of Black Hollow always returns. And every year, someone disappears.
This was the real-life Squid Game, and it's really horrifying. In 1953, in the small town of Ash Grove, Indiana, a man named Samuel Griggs lived on the edge of the woods. He was quiet, kind, and loved teaching kids games like hide and seek. One summer night, 3 teenagers, Danny, Rose, and Frank, went into the woods to meet Samuel for a game. They never came back. The next day, Sheriff Holt went looking for them. Deep in the forest, he found an old clearing. 3 wooden crosses stood there with the teens' names carved on them. Nearby, he saw an old cabin. Inside, Samuel was sitting at a table, playing with marbles. When the sheriff asked about the kids, Samuel smiled and said, "They played my game, but they lost." On the walls of the cabin were hundreds of names, written in black ink. Samuel leaned forward and whispered, "Want to play too, Sheriff? The rules are simple. Win, and you leave. Lose, and you stay forever." When the sheriff came back the next day with other officers, the cabin was gone. Some say Samuel still lives in the woods, calling out to anyone who dares to play his game. And if you hear him, don't answer. If you lose, you won't come back.
This is the real-life Squid Games. During the 1950s, a billionaire named Elon Huck created a secret game on a private island. He brought people from all over the world, people who had lost everything and were drowning in debt. He gave them a chance to win $10 million if they played a few games. But what they didn't know was that the games were deadly. If they lost their lives. One night, after the first day of games in 1965, 2 participants, former military agents, managed to sneak into the headquarters where the games were controlled. They took control of 2 of the masked agents and wore their uniforms. They moved through the island and into the control room. With the games disrupted and the system breaking down, they freed all the remaining participants. Now the remaining players were in charge, and they demanded answers. One of the masked agents told them the truth. The man behind the games was billionaire Elon Huck, hiding in a bunker deep on the island. So they raced to the bunker, but the second they arrived, a helicopter took off. They looked up and saw Elon Huck smiling from above. But then, out of nowhere, a lightning bolt struck the helicopter and it plummeted to the jungle below. The survivors rushed to the crash site, hoping to find Elon Huck alive. They followed the footsteps from the wreckage into the jungle, but when they reached the end of the trail, all they found was Elon Huck's black suit, torn and abandoned, and a tiger he had used in his twisted games. In Japan, there's a secret, terrifying tunnel hidden deep in the mountains, a place known as the Inunaki Tunnel. A young couple, driven by curiosity and a thirst for adventure, his face wild and twisted, holding a blood-stained axe. Without warning, he lunged at them, his rage overwhelming. The couple barely had time to react before the man struck. They tried to flee, but it was too late. The man attacked relentlessly, and within moments, both were dead.
This woman has a candy house, but what's inside is truly shocking. My name is Jenna Collins. This happened on October 21st, 2022, in Maple Hollow, Indiana. That night, I was walking home from my friend Kayla's house. It was cold, and there was light fog. Suddenly, the fog got thick. I couldn't see anything. Everything was quiet. Then, I saw a house through the fog. It looked like it was made of candy. Gumdrops on the roof, walls like chocolate cake, candy canes at the door. A woman stood outside. She looked beautiful. Long silver hair, smooth skin, bright blue eyes. She smiled at me. "You must be cold," she said softly. "Come inside, dear." Her name was Miss Marlowe. I followed her. The inside smelled sweet, like sugar and cinnamon. Everything looked warm and perfect. She handed me a small pink candy. "Just one bite," she said. I took it. Everything went black. When I woke up, the house was different. Cold, dirty. The candy walls were melting. The sweet smell was gone. And Miss Marlowe, she wasn't beautiful anymore. She leaned close and whispered, "Now you belong to me." I tried to run, but I couldn't move.
The worst thing that could happen to you is accidentally seeing a cursed video that potentially has black magic and that will haunt you forever. I'm just saying that once you see one of these videos that are meant to harm people, well, there is no coming back. And this is exactly what happened in the story that I'm about to tell y'all. So we know what to do. Save this video and come back to it at night so it's more enjoyable like that. You see, it all started when two girls were at school together, okay? So basically a girl and her friend were basically chilling here. We know they were just talking to each other about some random stuff, but then her friend started talking about a cursed video that you should not watch. He basically told her, "Look, there is a video, a cursed video that you should not watch, okay? Because if you watch it, a scary creature will come and try to you." Obviously, the girl didn't believe her. She was like, "Oh my god, bro, here we go again. Bro, you made this up in like the past 20 seconds. I'm not believing it. You can call me a liar if you want to, okay? I'm not joking. I'm here to warn you. Do not watch that video." Okay, look, you're talking too much. Can you please show it to me so, you know, I'm aware? I do not click on it once I see it. So her friend was basically like, "Yeah, sure. You see this right here? Do not watch it, okay? I'm warning you." So now, the girl basically came closer to look. She was like, "Bro, did you see the thumbnail? What made you think that I will watch that for real? This is scary. I'm not watching that. Now get out." "Yeah, we're watching that shit tonight." So her friend was basically like, "Yeah, that's my girl right here. You see, that's why we're friends. We listen to each other, right? Yeah, girl, come on, you know me. I'm not. What the hell is this anyway? Nah, it's not." Now, once the girl made it home, she didn't listen to her friend. She immediately went to look for the video and she started watching it. And while watching it, she actually noticed two things. The first thing is there is a wild background sound, okay? She couldn't figure what the hell was that, but there is a loud sound. You know how these weird sounds be, right? Like loud sounds mashed on top of each other, reversed, you know, things like yeah, something like that. Second thing that she noticed was the language, okay? She couldn't understand or even figure what the hell was that. Because according to her, it sounded like Hindu mixed with Chinese, something like that, but she wasn't sure. Anyway, she watched the whole video, and when she finished it, she was like, "Okay, did I not understand a single thing? Yes. Was it one of the weirdest videos in my life? Yes. Is it scary? No." You know, just in case, she started looking around her to see if her friend telling the truth about the creature, and you know, she started looking around her, not a single thing in sight. This is where she was basically like, "Okay, that friend right here is a liar. I'm going back to sleep." And yes, just like that, she went to sleep in her little room, comfy bed, you know, just sleeping. But not for too long, because at 3 a.m. she heard something. She heard was basically laughing and giggling sound coming from the opposite side of the room. Once she opened her eyes, she saw it. Well, she couldn't tell how this thing exactly looked like because the girl didn't have her glasses, but this thing right here started talking, and this is what he said. Basically said, while pointing to the girl, "You're gonna, you're gonna, I'm gonna, you." Damn, bro wasted no time, made it clear, straight to the point. But you see, on the other side, the girl was scared. She was scared for her life. She was stressing, calling for help. She was basically calling her mom. Oh yeah, the girl was basically screaming "mom" until her mom came and this thing right here disappeared. I just say disappear, Well, not really, because let me tell you that this thing right here never disappeared. You see this story right here? It happened in 2018. See, what I'm trying to say is the girl right here grew up, okay? This story is like what, 7 years old? Well, let me tell you that sometimes she still see him. Just like I told you, believe it or not, if you see the video, there is no coming back. You're being haunted for.
Here's another lore-inducing story time from me. So a few years ago, I went on a date with this guy who was like begging me to go out with him. Like he was really like love bombing and everything. He was like begging me to go out. Right off the bat, he lied about his height. He said he was like 1'8". He came like from afar. He was walking towards me. He got shorter and shorter and shorter, and turned out he was like my height over here. So that was about like 1'6" something cm tall. That's a crazy lie, by the way. I don't appreciate the lying, but anyway, I give him benefit of the doubt. It doesn't really matter. So we went on a date. Then he was like, oh, I'll treat you to lunch, I'll treat you to lunch. So we went to the most romantic restaurant we could have thought of. That was Hot Tomato Student Deal at Jewel. Which I like, by the way. So we were chilling, we ate, and then when it came to the bill, he was like, haha, okay, I'll pay first. Okay. Then he was like, okay, I'll pay first. And then he kept going like, haha, you pay me back, right? You know my pay now? Yeah, you can just pay me back whenever. Man's broke, but when you gonna pay me back? You know my pay now? Yeah, I just pay me back whenever, like, it's okay, but I gotta pay me back. So I was like, okay, damn, okay, like, calm down. Then we went from our impromptu movie and we watched a very romantic movie, Minions 2, and nothing happened. But like after the movie, he was supposed to like send me to the bus interchange. So he was like, oh, wait a minute, I gotta go shit. Don't say that on your first date. That's kind of a turn off, but nature calls. So he went to do his business, and I was outside for 45 minutes waiting, and I was like, damn, like hot tomato pretty like was pretty bad, huh? He came out, this Casanova, this Romeo of a man, and he went, hey, sorry, I fell asleep on the toilet. And after all of that, he sent me to the bus interchange and he went, so no hot. Girls on Carousel, be careful not to give your PayNow randomly. If you don't know, when you send your PayNow QR code, it shows your phone number and everything on like the name that you set. So I was selling something on Carousel. I think it was a ukulele, not too sure. But I sold something to this guy, and we met up and everything, and then he bought it, and then he paid me the money, and everything was okay. 3 days later, I got a WhatsApp from this random number that I've never seen before, and the text said like, hello, my beautiful queen, or something. And I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, is this a scam? So I replied, I was like, who's this? Then he was like, your one and only. You're one and only. And I was like, okay, who is this? Like, is this a prank? Like, I kept asking, like, is this a prank? Is this a scam? Is this a prank? And he was like, no, mistress, like, are you single? And I was like, okay, then I was gonna block, but I was gonna block. So I was like, who is this? Like, can you tell me? And he went like, we met by fate. Okay. And he, after a while of like prodding, I just like answered. I was like, yes, I'm single, blah blah blah, because I was at the time. And then he was like, you met me on Carousel when I bought your ukulele. I was like, what the fuck? So now I have this irrational fear whenever I deal on Carousel or something to like never give your QR code. And you know what? It could have been a more privacy breaching situation, especially if you're like a young impressionable girl or a young girl selling on Carousel, and people can get your phone number. So just be careful.
I'll never understand people who like to explore abandoned places. I mean, not only you can encounter pretty much everything here and it's basically done for you, but sometimes you can get involved into some dangerous and secret things that are hidden here, and basically your life is ruined. And you see the involved dangerous part? Well, that's exactly what happened in the story that I'm about to tell y'all, so you know what to do. Save this video and come back to it at night so it's more enjoyable like that. See, it all started with a guy who was basically an urban explorer, okay? So he basically do this kind of stuff. He goes into abandoned places and he's like, okay, broken tables, man, I like this. Dust everywhere, these right here are details. Smelly rooms, that's a 10 out of 10. Basically, he explores a lot of abandoned places, but the problem is they all look the same, okay? I mean, they pretty much look like this. But not this time, because the place he'll visit will change his life forever. Because this time, he decided to visit an abandoned school that he heard talking about. All we know about this school is that it's located in Detroit, okay? Nothing less, nothing more. Now, after a long time of searching, he finally found a way in. And I forgot to mention that he brought a camera with him. This is where he started really exploring, okay? He didn't want to miss a single thing. It was basically like this, having his camera and basically checking every room. And you know, while exploring and basically doing his thing, he actually noticed something. This place is messed up, okay? I mean, everything is broken. The windows to the ceilings to the doors, everything, basically everything was not in a good shape. But hold on, not exactly everything, because something was new, like untouched. And you heard me well. Meanwhile, everything here was looking like junk junction. Something was up, okay? A little detail that had the explorer go like, okay, you know, that's weird. Something off I've been talking about was this wall right here. It was barely touched. And you're probably like, okay bro, you've been yapping for half an hour only to show us a wall. Yes. I mean, I need you to compare, okay? Compare this to this right here, okay? To the ceiling, for example. I think you see the difference. So now, when the explorer noticed this, he was like, okay, hold on. This thing right here is not normal. You think you'll have me? I'm not new to this. Come on. I mean, this is too clean to be true. Hold on. Let me knock into this. Yes, something is behind this wall. Exactly, that's what the explorer told himself, okay? He was like, this wall right here was built recently, okay? It was built recently, that's why it looks clean, and it was built to hide something. So now that the explorer discovered this, he's in a tough situation, okay? He basically has two choices. It's either he acts like this wall right here never existed, he basically acts like he never saw it, or basically goes inside. Now, the explorer is basically facing the wall, and the half of him is like, okay bro, you're not dumb enough to break the wall and go inside. They're clearly hiding something there, but you don't want to go there. You're already in trouble for visiting this place in the first place. Do not go there. The other half of him was like, come on man, I'm not gonna talk too much like him, you know me. I'm just gonna tell you this. You're a man, come on. Go explore and see what's inside. Then the other half, the first half that talked, responded, come on bro, do not do that. You know that the consequences of this one will be heavy, okay? Especially this one. Don't do it. Well, I think he overdid it, because instead of simply making a hole, he made sure to make a whole door. I don't know what was he thinking by making it so obvious, but the thing is, he was right. Okay, as you can see, something is behind this wall. He went through the door he made inside that wall, and this is what he saw, okay? And at this point, he questioned himself again. He was like, okay, this place right here is bigger than I thought, okay? It's definitely deep. Should I keep going? Yeah, bro, come on, bro. You made it into here. You gotta keep going. I mean, what was the point of breaking the wall? Yes, you're right. I didn't break that door for nothing. Let's keep going. So, he went down the stairs, and this is what he found. This place right here is even newer than that wall, okay? And, I mean, it doesn't look like it, but this place right here is new. And you see this? I want you to only focus on this right here. Because what you're seeing right now is basically pictures of missing people, pictures of children, and a lot of tapes. You know, the old VHS tapes built like that? Yes, they were here. And mind you, this is only one box. Look how many boxes they are. Oh, when he saw all these files and pictures of missing people, he panicked, okay? But he decided to grab one to see what's this about. Oh, he started reading and he was like, okay, hold on. I am definitely panicking for no reason. I mean, I'm in an abandoned school right now, okay? So maybe these pictures of children are basically these people who used to study here, you know? No. Remember what I told you? The school was abandoned for a very long time, okay? The pictures he saw are recent. When he realized it, he was like, okay, I'm not touching this stuff anymore, and God knows what's inside these tapes right here. I'm basically gonna call the police and tell him what I found. Oh, he called the police, and once the police came, he basically showed them the way. Once they made it here, he was like, okay, you see, I basically found this. They were like, oh, shh, do not talk about this anymore. Oh, he was like, what? No, you're gonna tell me what is this all about? What did you find? I thought I just told you it's none of your business, okay? And never talk about it again. That's a warning. Yes, the police basically didn't want nobody to hear about what's going on here. But you think he'll listen simply just like that after finding the place? No, of course, it's hard. Because remember what I told you in the beginning of the story? Yup, he had a camera. Well, he decided to post everything he saw on YouTube on 2019. This is where it gets serious, because the video he posted got taken down after a few hours, and a very few amount of people You see, once upon a time, there was a happy little family living in a big house. Well, they were happy until they lost their grandmother. Yeah, you heard me well. The family just lost their grandmother, and this right here was devastating and really sad for every family member. I mean, she used to bring the family together, if you know what I mean. And you know, she lived a long, happy life, but you know, they say everything comes to an end, right? Well, not this time, because this right here is the beginning of the story, so you know what to do. Save this video and come back to it at night so it's more enjoyable like that. But after that, they gave her a proper funeral, and you know, some people cried, some people didn't, but they all ended up going home after the funeral ended. So once they were home, the family members started convincing themselves that these things happen, okay? This is basically life, and you know, they started accepting it after 2 weeks. But then the grandma was like, nah, how could you forget me after 2 weeks, just like that? Let's make them suffer. Oh, okay bro, hold on. You just told us that the grandma, did she respond or something, or is it another grandma? Well, not exactly, but this is what happened. Weeks after the grandmother, and meanwhile everybody was sleeping at night, a phone started ringing in the living room. Oh, this is where a family member woke up and he was like, oh my god bro, come on. Who's calling at midnight? After complaining for 10 seconds, he went to the living room and he picked that phone. He was like, okay, your condolences, you can keep them for yourself. You're 2 weeks late. No, he said that because he thought that somebody called because of their grandmother, but he didn't know that this might be the grandmother herself. You know, he tried again. He was like, okay, who is this? And why the hell you're calling at midnight?
Did you know Shizuoka Girls High School in Japan is haunted by this girl? In 1953, in the quiet town of Shizuoka, Japan, there was a 19-year-old student named Sayuri Takahashi. Sayuri was born with a slightly longer neck than normal. Students whispered behind her back. One day, a group of classmates tied tiny bells around her neck so they could hear her coming and laugh. Sayuri never fought back. She believed if she stayed kind, they would stop, but they didn't. During the school's autumn festival, she offered to stay late and clean. That night, a group of students locked her in a storage room as a prank. Then, a fire broke out in the building. Everyone escaped, except Sayuri, trapped and forgotten. She was never seen again. After the fire, strange things started happening. People heard bells jingling down empty hallways. Some students went missing. The school eventually closed that section of the building. Locals now call her the Bell Neck Woman. They say her neck kept growing after death, stretched by sorrow and rage.
You see this map right here? Well, it's fake. Well, let's not say fake, let's say incomplete. Because according to Monte, this right here is the real map, okay? This is what Earth should look like. And you're probably like, okay bro, what the hell am I even looking at? What is this? Well, let me explain. This map right here was made by a guy called Monte, okay? An Italian guy living in the 16th century. It doesn't matter, honestly. What matters is what he did right here. Because he made a map. No shit, but he made an interesting map that has a lot of secrets. And when you look at it, you should notice 3 things. First thing that you should notice is the continents we know. You see, he got them all right. And that's crazy for some guy in the 16th century, believe me. So in case you don't see them, there's Africa, Europe in the middle, Asia, North America, and South America. And there is a second thing to notice, okay? If we got all the continents in the middle, the continents that we know, what the hell are these? You know, what the hell are these surrounding the continents? Now moving on to the third thing that you should notice about this map. Where is Antarctica? You know, the one with the snow? Yeah, the one that's supposed to be right here. Where is it? 'Cause if you think about it, if Monte got them all right, okay, with this accuracy right here, there's no way he'd forget a big detail like this, right? Maybe Antarctica is something new, something that didn't exist back then. And it's covering these lands right here, that's why we don't see them. This is exactly where this man right here pulled up. His name is Charles Hapgood. Now I hope I got his name right because it'll be bad if I didn't. You know, Hapgood, bad. Okay. Anyway, seriously, this man right here had a crazy theory, okay? He basically came, he was like, you see Antarctica? Everybody responded, oh yeah, of course, we know Antarctica. Penguins, ice, yeah, we know it. Oh, okay, I'm glad you know it because here's the thing. Something is behind it or inside it. Everybody was shocked, honestly. They were like, we don't understand what you're saying here, sir. Can you please elaborate? Oh, I thought I was clear. I said what I said. Antarctica is hiding something. There could be cities, lost civilizations, and lands behind it. Sorry, what? Why are you saying that? Who are you anyways? Nobody knows you. Look, you might not know me, but all you gotta do is pick old maps and connect the pieces. Okay? Something is behind or beneath Antarctica. Something is hidden from us. This is what people think Antarctica look from space, but this picture right here is proven to be fake. Does nobody find this weird? I mean, the fact that you can't go there is literally illegal. The things beneath or behind Antarctica will be revealed one day, then this right here will be one of the biggest things to happen in human history.
If this ice cream truck stops on your street, your children are already in danger. Recently, in my town of Willow Creek, a strange ice cream truck began showing up late at night. It started on June 3rd, 2024. Every night around 11:30 p.m., that old white truck parks under the flickering streetlight on Maple Drive. It plays a slow, broken version of Pop Goes the Weasel. The man driving it is huge, sweaty, with oily skin, a yellow-stained shirt, and a wide smile that never moves. No one knows his name. Last week, I noticed my 9-year-old son, Eli, sneaking out through his window. On Friday, June 7th, I followed him. He walked straight to the truck like he'd done it before. But the man didn't hand him ice cream. He gave him a small glass jar filled with a black, wiggling thing. I ran and grabbed Eli's arm. He clutched the jar tightly and whispered, "He said this will help me see her again." "Who?" I asked. "Mom," he said. "My wife, Rachel, died in a car accident last year." I looked into the jar. Something inside blinked. I dropped it in fear. It vanished in smoke. The truck? Gone. No sound. No marks. Since that night, Eli doesn't talk, but I hear him whisper at night. Guys, let me know if you want part 2.
This place right here is one of the most scariest and disturbing places on earth. If you're asking why, well, basically the thing you're seeing right now is not ruled by humans like us. It's ruled by jinns. Hey, you heard me well, I'm not even kidding. The thing you're seeing right now is a village called Sidi Shamharoush, located at the top of Atlas Mountains in Morocco. You see this big ass white rock in the middle of the village? Well, locals believe that there is a jinn living under it, and he's the one who rules and judges everybody in the village. This is exactly where the name of the village comes from. Shamharoush, the same guy living under the rock. Locals also believe that he was human before, but when he ended up right here, and he basically decided to rule the whole village and help everybody there. You might be thinking, okay, hold on bro, this sounds like literally any typical folklore I know. What's so scary about this? Well, here's my response. First of all, save this video and come back to it at night so it's more enjoyable like that. The second thing, it's not the actual story that's scary, okay? What's really scary is what's going on inside. Hold on, let me show you. What you're seeing right now is basically a ritual, okay? And to respect everybody's heart, I'm not putting videos because this is scary. In case you want to look it up, go ahead. I'm telling you, it's not for the weak. But anyways, one thing about this place is that you should respect the ritual, and not everybody is allowed to enter. So according to the locals, there is even a story of somebody who went there, disrespected the ritual, and something bad happened to him. And here's the story. One day, there was a guy who wanted to reach the top of the Atlas mountain, because quick reminder, this is in a mountain. Now, on his way up, he saw this village right here, and he was interested to go. He was like, what's a white rock doing in the middle of the village? Interesting. You know what? Let's explore it. He went inside the village, and the first thing he described was that the energy was scary, okay? Something was wrong, but he decided to continue anyways. Now, once he made it to the rock, he saw the people doing the ritual. He was like, what the hell is going on? People inside doing the ritual were basically like, what? What was that? I don't have the right to talk now? I can't hear you, there is too much noise. And why the hell are they singing beneath a rock? Oh, he said he's cooked, by the way, because the guy who interrupted the ritual almost ended up. What happened is that when he left, a sudden hail of stones started raining down on him, which caused him to fall and lose one eye. So yeah, the moral of the story is, if you don't want to end up like him, looking like a pirate, do not interrupt the ritual. Do not even go there. And again, the last part, the story was told by locals. We don't know if it's true, we don't know if it's false. But it doesn't change the fact that this place right here is scary and you should not visit it. Made it until here, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Good luck with sleeping tonight. And in case you didn't know, I opened a second account, I called it Mr. Nice Girls 2, very original. And I talk about different stuff, as you can see, even more yapping. So yeah, if you like me to see me twice a day, you should subscribe. And by the way, why is he like...
If you ever see a man with 6 eyes standing at your gate, don't blink. Your entire village is already dead. In the dark days of the Edo period in Japan, demons ruled the world from the shadows. They walked freely at night. In the year 1792, deep in the northern mountains of Japan, there was a hidden village called Higanmura. This village was different. Every man, woman, and child trained as a demon slayer. My name is Takeshi, and I was born into that legacy. My father, Hiroshi, was the village swordmaster. My mother, Kaida, taught healing and spell work. My best friend Renji could split arrows in the air. We believed no demon could defeat us. But on the night of October 17th, 1792, our belief was shattered. A red mist crept into the valley, and a deadly silence followed. Then he appeared, tall, with long black hair, a dark katana, and 6 glowing eyes. His name was Kokushibo. Though few lived long enough to say it. Renji was the first to fall. My parents followed. Even Master Genzo, the strongest among us, couldn't land a blow. I survived only because my brother Kenta pushed me into the grain shed and locked the door. I heard his scream, then silence. When dawn came, over 200 demon slayers were dead. Only I remained. Guys, let me know if you want second part.
Were people still alive inside of the Titanic as it sank? Well, testimony from survivors actually suggests that yes, they were. Also, I cover a lot of morbid but interesting things on this page, so you should follow along. So as the Titanic sank, we know that part of it was vertical in the water as it went down. And experts have suggested that any of the air still left inside of the ship would have traveled to the top and trapped itself inside of a bubble. Which means that if people were trapped in that part of the ship, they could have survived as it was being brought down to the bottom of the ocean. But what's interesting is that the night it sank, some of the survivors said that 15 to 20 seconds after the ship went down, they heard an explosion under the water, which some people have suggested was actually the sound of the bubble imploding, similar to how the Titan submersible imploded. Basically, at a certain point, the ship would have gotten to a depth where the pressure on the outside was more than the pressure on the inside, and it would have crushed it. However, some experts say this is not possible. The ship was not sealed like the submersible was sealed, and therefore it could not have imploded that way. Regardless, we know that everyone who was left on that ship that night suffered a horrible fate, and if you're interested in more morbidly but interesting content, make sure to follow along.
Did you know in Italy there's a witch with legs so long she walks over rivers? This legend began in 1678 when a woman named Morella was accused of witchcraft after several children mysteriously disappeared. The villagers chased her into the forest and she vanished, but it's said she made a deal with dark spirits. Her body twisted, her legs stretched long and spider-like, cursed to walk the earth only at night. One foggy night in October 1996, Luca dared to cross the bridge alone. At first, it was silent. Then came the soft tapping. Tap, 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 like long nails on stone. He turned, and there she stood, taller than any human, legs bent backward, face hidden under dark gray hair. Frozen in fear, he tried to run, but his legs wouldn't move. The next morning, Luca was found on the other side of the bridge, and his eyes wide open, never blinking again.